Edith Louisa Cavell was born in Wasdell, Norfolk in 1865 to her mother Louisa Sophia and father Reverend Frederick Cavell, who was the vicar of the local church. As a young woman, Edith was intelligent, hard-working and artistic. Studying at the vicarage, she was known to be a passionate painter and was said also to have a notable talent for French. On completing her studies, Edith moved to Brussels to work as a governess. After 5 years and having earned herself a reputation as being strict but kind, Edith returned home to Swordston to look after her father, who had become ill. It was through nursing her father back to health that Edith felt she had found her life's purpose. She began training to become a nurse. Eventually, in 1907, Edith returned to Belgium, where she was entrusted with the running of a training school for nurses on the outskirts of Brussels. At the time, there was some resistance to the creation of the school. It was still thought by many that women were unfit for such work. Nevertheless, the school eventually gained momentum and began establishing an impressive reputation for itself. However, this period of prosperity did not last. When war was declared in 1914, Edith Cavell was visiting her now widowed mother in Norfolk. Despite being advised strongly not to, Edith declared that she was to return to Brussels, stating, "At a time like this, I am more needed than ever." Upon her arrival back in Brussels, Edith made it clear to her nurses that their first duty was to care for anyone who entered the hospital, no matter what their nationality. Once the German army had invaded Belgium, 60 nurses were sent home to England, but Edith remained behind. Later that year, 2 British soldiers who had become stranded in occupied territory found their way to the Red Cross Hospital, where Edith sheltered them in secrecy for 2 weeks before smuggling them out of the country and into neutral Holland. Many more Allied soldiers followed their footsteps. Each of them was saved by Edith. She understood the grave risk she was undertaking by helping them. After almost a year of operating the elaborate underground smuggling network and saving the lives of some 200 men, Edith was finally caught by the German authorities and taken to trial. After a short trial, Edith was found guilty of treason, a capital offence under the German Penal Code. She was sentenced to death. Her execution was ordered to be carried out immediately. The night before her execution, Edith spoke to an Anglican chaplain. She said, "Standing as I do in view of God and eternity, I realise that patriotism is not enough. I must have no hatred or bitterness towards anyone." News of Edith's execution sent a shockwave through Europe, and despite her last wishes, she was declared a martyr by the Allies and her death was used as propaganda. For the next 8 weeks, recruitment doubled. Anger was instilled into the Allied population. Some say Edith's execution eventually helped to bring the United States of America into the war. Edith was given a military funeral and eventually laid to rest on Life's Green at Norwich Cathedral.